Well, welcome to the PM Peeps. I'm Timmy Zellin for Chelsea Haynes on Studio STL. We are in the kitchen on this Wednesday, and Nicole has joined us of Noshings with Nicole. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you. We're going to have some grillades today. You ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
Yeah.
First, let's get a little background. Tell people who don't know Noshings with Nicole.
It is a food blog. It covers a lot of like historical cooking. It covers a lot of like Cajun and Creole cooking and a lot of like Armenian cooking. Sprinkled in with some random like modern American in there.
Got a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
And this is a dish near and dear to my heart, grits and grillades. Give us a little background on this dish.
So grits and grillades is a very traditional New Orleans brunch food. It has a heavy like meat gravy on top of grits. One of the big components of grillades is it has to have cloves. So cloves, I want you to go ahead and smell it. Cloves, it's kind of got a sweet, it's bitter, it's like a little bit of bright, but it's a very distinct flavor. Most of the time I tell people don't buy a spice that you will only use in one dish, but this is one of the exceptions.
This is an exception.
If you don't have it, it's not grillades to me.
You gotta have it.
Right.
If it makes the dish, you gotta put it in.
Exactly. So grillades, it has a roux. So this is a roux. I was a child of the 90s, so I grew up with a dry roux. Typically, roux is 1 part oil, 1 part flour.
And it takes some patience to make one.
Yep, so a real one could take an hour plus. A dry roux, if you make it on the stove top, it is straight flour, and you can make it in about 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
If you're making like a real big batch, you could do it in the oven, and then it...
just as effective as a...
Just as effective. Sometimes you need a little bit more to get the same thickening. Or
Gotcha.
You have to adjust the color a little bit. One of the more common colored roux in the area I grew up in outside New Orleans was a peanut butter roux. I am a middle child, so I like to push the envelopes. I go a shade or two darker. But
I have one of those.
I mean, it's not our fault, right?
No, that's right.
But the thing with roux is that the darker you go, you get a little bit more color, a little bit more flavor, but it has less thickening power.
Okay.
So you got to kind of balance it. Another thing that is not in Cajun cooking, and this is where grillades becomes Creole, is you have tomato sauce in it.
That's right.
So Cajun typically does not have
the tomato sauce.
Right.
Creole does. Yes.
Correct. So we got the roux down. The next part to get that good gravy is you have to get a gratin on there, and that is done by cooking your meat. So you're basically searing your meat. You start out with about 2-inch cubes. It will shrink down. You put it on super high heat, and you want to oil the meat itself and not the pot. If you do it the other way, it's fine. It just creates less splatter when you're actually cooking.
I got you.
Yeah. So you want to get it super, super dark, almost where it's burnt. So your pan should be looking pretty nasty by the end. But once you add in your trinity, which is the onion, celery, and bell pepper, it is going to move all of that flavor into your sauce. So you get a lot of the color, a lot of the flavor. So then once you get your trinity and cook it down, then you just add in your roux and your tomato sauce and your spices, and you cook it for about an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Let it simmer.
Let it simmer. I find a lot of people, when they're making Cajun Creole food, they don't cook it long enough, so they end up with chunky vegetables. Your vegetables should be almost where you can't even see them in there.
Imperceptible.
They just should
You'll taste them, you just won't see them.
Yeah, there should just become one. So do you want to go ahead and try it?
Yeah, I'd love to.
All right. So the grits, these are a little bubbling over here. I like my grits a little on the thicker side. I also make them with milk. My mom thinks that is not the right way to do it.
Gives it a little creamy.
But I like it with milk.
Yeah,
so that's
I get
how
you.
I make it. So we'll put on some gravy. You want to have a pretty good ratio of gravy to grits because the grits will tamper out the flavor, and you really don't want to do that. Do you want to top it off with some parsley, and then you can go ahead and taste that.
You gave me the easy part.
Yeah.
Bam. All right.
Kick it up a notch.
Kick it up a notch. Exactly right.
Yeah.
All right,
So
here
I'm
we go.
just tasting it, and one tip on the meat to get it real nice and brown is you have to get it dry with a piece of paper towel, and because if you have any kind of liquid on there, it will steam. Do you taste the cloves?
Mm-hmm, I do,
Yeah.
and it wouldn't be the dish without it. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like your grits too. I'm down with the milk.
Thanks. Yeah.
That is good.
It's almost borderline like with the cheesy grits, but without like the bite of like a sharper cheese.
That's
so
true.
it's like a hybrid. This is a really good dish to have, like to serve if you're having a party at your house or like a dinner party, because it's not easy to overcook and it's not something you have to cook at the last minute. So you just can kind of have it heat while it's cooking. You clean your kitchen and it looks like magic when people come in.
It is magic.
Yeah.
It is Noshings with Nicole. How can they keep up with you?
They can follow me on the blog, noshingswithnicole.com. I post about weekly. Or they can follow me on Instagram, Noshings with Nicole.
Yeah, good stuff right here. Woo-wee. The grits and grillades on a Wednesday. We are in the kitchen where Nicole has been giving us just all the history of grits and grillades and Cajun cooking. And you mentioned it kind of in passing. Let's hit it, though, for folks who might have missed it. The Trinity when it comes to Cajun cooking.
It is onion, green bell pepper, and celery. So typically you would have equal parts, so like a 1-1-1 ratio.
Yes.
But if you ask 20 different people what their ratio is, you probably will have 35 responses. I do 2 parts onion, 1 part bell pepper, 1 part celery.
Gotcha. So everybody has their own little mix.
Because some people like more bell pepper, some people don't like it, so everyone just kind of fiddles with it.
Yeah.
But traditionally it's 1-1-1.
And I love that what you taught us a little bit earlier, that you don't have to go the liquid roux route. You can go with a dry roux.
Right, yeah, and it's super easy. Like if you're doing it in the microwave, you can make it in probably less than 5 minutes.
Wow.
But you only want to put it in for like 30-second increments because it will burn really fast. So you have to be careful. If you burn your roux, throw that away. There's no saving it, and whatever you stick the roux in is going to taste burnt, like a bad burn. So you want to make sure it is easy. If you do it in the oven, it could take like probably about 2 hours, just because you're doing such a big quantity and it's a lower heat than if you do it in the microwave or stove top.
And a pre-made roux in a jar.
I've never used it.
She's never.
I've never used it. Some people swear by it.
It is not.
I feel like I have to try it just so I can talk smack on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you do. It's Noshings with Nicole. Check her out. Follow her on that blog page. And make sure you check out the grits and grillades, because it's the goods. Hey, keep it here. We got more coming your way. It's Studio STL on a Wednesday.